Cats at Night. Now, here's John Catsimatidis.
Welcome back to the John Catsimatidis Cats at Night show. In studio, Tony Carbonetti, Congressman Peter King, Judge Weinberg, and John Catsimatidis, and myself, Lydia Serrani. On the line with us right now, Dr. William Parker. He's the CEO of Parker Maritime Technologies. I can go on and on about all of his credentials. Dr. Parker is also a retired senior U.S. naval officer who commanded 3 warships and later a squadron of warships. He also served as a chief of staff for the U.S. Naval Service Forces. Excuse me, I'm trying to go fast. Thank you so much, Dr. Parker, for coming back on Cats at Night.
Oh, it's always an honor.
So what the heck is going on in the Middle East? I mean, Ukraine, Russia, Poland. You give us your evaluation. Iran.
Yeah, there's lots going on everywhere. And Ms. Catsimatidis, we talked about Ukraine and the surrounding areas with Russia last time. So maybe we touch on Iran for a second, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
You had the death of this 22-year-old Masa Amini for not wearing her hijab properly. And from there, you end up with some very, very courageous Iranians who said, we're not taking this anymore. And just like 2019, where they lost about 1,500 people, they're standing up to these thugs who are running their country again and saying, we're not putting up with it. And so you have protests in over 140 cities around the country right now.
And what's the likelihood of success of this effort?
Well, I think it depends on whether or not the rest of the globe steps up and helps them at least a little bit. If that happens, I think it's pretty good, because this is not the first time. They learned from their last lessons, and you have a lot of people on the streets right now, even a lot more.
Let's get down to the money.
Okay.
It's the money, honey. Is that what he's saying? How much oil is Iran producing, and are they going to punish us that way?
Well, the Gulf is about 20%. If you look at the whole Gulf, 20%. I mean, the United States, and you and I have talked about this, the United States has enough natural gas and oil that we're sitting on. If we want to
you have a stubborn president that doesn't want to produce any.
Well, and you also, unfortunately, have $1.7 billion of U.S. money that ended up in Iranian hands during the JCPOA. Now, It's good news that at least this time the president's saying, you know what, I'm not interested in JCPOA right now. We're going to talk about other things. But I got to tell you, that $1.7 billion hurts when it was caches of airplanes flown over in the middle of the night.
In cash. I mean, somebody had to fund the terrorists.
We should have given them Bitcoin.
Well, not all Bitcoin. FTX in particular is what I would have invested in.
Dr. Parker, as far as Iran, are you convinced that the Biden administration is not pursuing a nuclear agreement with Iran?
No, I'm not convinced of that at all. I'm convinced that.
And what impact would that have on the situation over there?
Yeah, my insight is that there's a possibility that a nuclear agreement could still come in through a JCPOA type of event. But I think right now they're looking at what's going on in Ukraine. They're looking at this weapon that got dropped in Poland. They're looking at what's going on with China. They're sending Tony Blinken back to China early next year after he got kind of schwacked by Wang last year in Alaska. So they got a lot going on right now, and I'm not sure the JCPOA is something they want to put on the table.
Well, remember back when they did it, that should have been a treaty. How are they going to pull that stunt again and not do it as a treaty?
I don't think they can. I don't think they can, and I think it's a different game too, depending on if your 17 gets to 18.
All right. I had lunch with Condoleezza Rice today, and one smart lady, very smart lady, and I asked her about Secretary Tony Blinken, and he says he knows his stuff, but does John Kerry outrank Tony Blinken and go to Joe Biden?
Well, first of all, Condi Rice is one of the truly brilliant people in this country. And second, I agree. Blinken does know his stuff. And by rank, he's number 3, right? I mean, after the vice president.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that John Kerry doesn't go and say I'm interested in something else. There's still a lot of people interested in JCPOA working. But I got to tell you, that the Iranians are not going to hold up their end of the deal. And so that's just a bad deal for us. We did not get the inspection clauses right in there. We did not get the ability to go onto their bases and look at what's going on. So it's nothing like the Open Skies Treaty that we had with the Russians previously.
And what should the Israelis do in this situation now?
Well, the Israelis need to do a couple things. I think Netanyahu's a very aggressive guy and will certainly have an Iron Dome system that will be improved in the very near future. I would not be surprised at all if you see an imminent strike, an imminent threat, if you see Netanyahu put rounds downrange towards the Iranians.
And Dr. Parker, speaking of the Iranians, the government there is threatening to kill 15,000 dissidents. But then again, we're beholden to them because of oil. What can the United States do? Because we can't upset them. But then on the other hand, we can't allow them to kill 15,000 people.
I think we can upset them. I think instead what we do is we spend our money instead of on JCPOA funding, and we buy icebreakers and we start drilling where we need to be drilling, where the Russians are right now. We need to get the XL pipeline back, and we need to be pumping more natural gas.
We all Americans agree, but it's not going to be done. And in our previous conversation with Jay Powell, I said we're destroying the American real estate industry by raising interest rates so high.
Absolutely. That's absolutely.
Well, thank you, Mr. Parker. Thank you for everything you've done for our country in the Navy and the East-West Institute, president of the East-West Institute, and making peace around the world. And keep fighting for our country, Mr. Parker.
Absolutely, and you too. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
It's Cats at Night
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
The pandemic has been hard on all our kids. New studies show more than 1 in 3 children who started school in the pandemic now need intensive reading help. That's right. Millions of kids in kindergarten through 3rd grade in the United States cannot read at grade level. Here's the good news. Your child can be reading in just 30 days, guaranteed, with Hooked on Phonics. Even if your child has been struggling, Hooked on Phonics will teach your child to read in just 30 days, guaranteed. And right now, you can get started for just $1. Text the word GRADE to 323232 right now. Hooked on Phonics is highly effective and incredibly fun, and everything can be done right from home and in less than 20 minutes a day. For more than 30 years, Hooked on Phonics has been the proven learn-to-read program that kids love to use. Text GRADE to 323232 and teach your child to read in just 30 days, guaranteed. Text GRADE to 323232 right now and get started for just $1. Text GRADE to 323232 now. Text GRADE to 323232.